There's a man that I see all the time. He is the world's leading expert on his own brokenness. He can give you a PhD level dissertation on how his dopamine pathways have been hijacked by social media or pornography. He can explain the precise attachment wounds from his childhood that have developed his adult dysfunctional traumatic patterns. He can give you an articulate, exact biophysiological, neurochemical explanation for why he feels social anxiety when he walks up to a girl he finds attractive. And yet, despite reading every book, going onto every forum, watching every YouTube video, scrolling through every subreddit, his life is exactly the same as it has been for years. This guy has more self-awareness than a Buddhist monk, and yet he is still stuck. His potential is withering on a vine in the face of knowing exactly why it's happening. Why? Because he has inadvertently made himself an expert diagnostician, mistaking being able to talk about the problem with being able to solve it. And these are two completely different realities. This is what we call living in the problem in the recovery world. If you want to solve a problem, you have to solve the problem, which is what we call living in the solution in the recovery world. My name is Nate, and I help men break free from pornography, heal their trauma, improve their dating and relationship skills, and connect with a higher sense of meaning and purpose. And I know this problem so well because I was once this man, and this is still a pattern that I'm working on overcoming myself. I spent probably 15 years of my life trapped in what I would call analysis paralysis hell. But I've now seen significant change in my own life in terms of my ability to exit analysis paralysis, and I've also guided many other men out of this exact same cycle. And I've discovered that the single biggest barrier to transformation, unsurprisingly, is never a lack of information. It is this sort of addiction to diagnosing the problem instead of, or rather, while avoiding engaging in the actions that constitute the solution. So in the next 4 minutes, I'm going to walk you through the difference and the significance of living in the problem versus living in the solution. I'm going to show it to you so clearly that you will not be able to unsee how this pattern shows up in your life, as well as how it is showing up on a social and collective level and what the function of this trap, if we can call it that, might be. And by the end, I'm going to leave you with a simple but powerful question that is going to force you to choose a path of change. So let's talk about the endless diagnosis trap, living in the problem. Living in the problem feels productive, and that's why it's a trap. You watch an Andrew Huberman video about how pornography or how something else affects your dopamine circuitry. You get that little aha moment. Oh, that's why I do that. And then you get that temporary hit of dopamine that follows that your brain mistakes as progress. It gives you a sensation of moving forward, of solving a problem, of having some kind of control or agency over this thing that is affecting you. This feeling that you are doing something about your problem by understanding it better. But this is a dangerous illusion. And this is why a lot of self-help is really self-harm in disguise. What you're actually doing here is intellectualizing your pain. You are rewarding yourself for becoming a spectator to your own life. You are making yourself a sort of general who is overseeing the war, watching the casualties happening, being able to describe the gruesome death in extraordinary detail, while not actually doing anything to shift the tide of the war. You're endlessly analyzing the game footage of your own life instead of getting on the field and then carrying out the winning play. And the internet has created entire ecosystems that are designed to keep you in this trap, and especially to keep men in this trap. Reddit forums, YouTube channels, podcasts, online communities that do nothing but endlessly dissect the problem, becoming better and better diagnosticians and critical thinkers about the nature of a problem while doing absolutely nothing to change the life of the individual person who is consuming that content. They are agency traps. They take your desire for change and your real sense that something is wrong, and they redirect it into a meaningless, never-ending loop of distraction, discussion, diagnosis, and resentment. This hits on a topic that I'm planning for a future video on status environments. But suffice to say that anywhere you see this pattern playing out, in an environment of others where you get rewarded for becoming a better diagnostician of the problems, that is a place you need to run away from. And to make the scope of this problem land a little bit for you, I want to give you a mathematical view of the situation. If you spend 1 hour per day consuming content on social media, about your issues, whether that's watching YouTube videos on pornography addiction or depression and anxiety, or watching videos from dating coaches on how to go out and actually improve your dating skills. And you do that 365 days for a year. That is 9 full work weeks that you are spending consuming information, diagnosing the problem, and never taking any action. In those same hours, you could have completed a comprehensive program of personal development and recovery, like the one in the link in the description below, where I help you quit pornography, heal your trauma, improve your dating life and relationships, and connect with a higher sense of meaning and purpose. You could have gone out and approached God knows how many girls. Assuming your average date takes about 2 to 3 hours, you could have been on 100 to 180 dates with that time. I really want this point to sink in. Every hour that you spend consuming theory and analyzing the problem is an hour you're not spending solving it. You ever noticed how nobody in these problem-focused spaces ever actually gets better? Because their entire culture is focused on promoting and diagnosing the problem, not on promoting the solution and then actually changing their lives. They're just getting famous for capturing guys like you who will endlessly watch their content and then never actually solve the problem so that they can stop watching the content. And then worse, it encourages you to identify with the problem. And when your identity becomes the person with the problem, solving the problem becomes a threat to who you are. These problem-focused status environments or spaces have very complex and poisonous mechanisms to keep people trapped in them. But now let's talk about the opposite mindset, the builder's mindset, the man who actually changes, the man who lives in the solution. You see, living in the solution is the complete opposite of living in the problem. It's messy. You don't get to avoid, you have to step into life. You have to take risks, it's uncomfortable, you're gonna get hurt, you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna get rejected, there's gonna be failure. But then on the same side, that's also where there's actually going to be real growth and real reward and real change, and some of the most beautiful and amazing experiences that you'll ever be able to have in your life. Living in the solution has almost nothing to do with knowing, and it has everything to do with doing. Living in the solution is not watching yet another video about how pornography is damaging your brain. It is about doing something about it. Living in the solution is not endlessly watching more videos about the tactics, techniques, and theories about how to go improve your dating life. And it certainly is not about watching podcasts that are endlessly trashing modern women and convincing you that there are no good women out there, and in turn, basically convincing you to self-select yourself out of the gene pool like an idiot. It's about realizing that the internet and the real world are not the same place, and the only way you're gonna get a girlfriend is by getting up, going across the coffee shop to that cute girl that you find attractive, and saying hello, even if your voice shakes, even if you get rejected. You have to become an action taker. Living in the solution is not about listening to more trauma podcasts or rereading The Body Keeps the Score for the 3rd time. It's about actually booking an EMDR session or starting with an IFS therapist and doing the work to actually change how you feel in your body. Let me pause here for a moment and emphasize something. How do you know that you're stuck? You haven't felt different in years. If you still carry the same emotional experience in your body towards many of these things that we've talked about, that is sabotaging you, and it's been like that for years, despite how much information and theory you've consumed, you're stuck. But do you see the difference? The solution is always in action. It is always a verb. There isn't some new idea that you need in order to change your life at this point, most likely. It is a new action that you're not taking. The version of you that you want to be, the emotions that you want to have that you don't currently have, are not waiting on the other side of another YouTube video. They are waiting on the other side of the actions that you're not taking. And this isn't some new idea. I think Socrates said this the most profoundly when he said, the secret to creating change is not on fighting the old, it is on building the new. And yet we have an entire culture, especially where men frequent online, that is entirely about fighting the old. You will never fix your problems by staring at them harder, by learning more about them. You've got enough information. The thing that's going to solve your problem is solving your problem. You will only outgrow these problems when you build a new life that is so compelling that you transcend the level of consciousness in which the problem developed. You're never going to be able to stay the way you are and get different results in your life. And those two things that I just dropped on you are so profound that I really, really hope that some of you can understand the depth of what I just said. And so here's the uncomfortable question that you need to ask yourself. How much longer are you willing to just stay an expert on your own brokenness? If you've been working on yourself for years and nothing has changed and your life looks exactly the same, you are not working on yourself. You are hiding from yourself. You are deluding yourself that you are making change or making any real progress by consuming yet another piece of information about your problem. And that, my friends, is the same thing as actively choosing to avoid the actions that would lead you to a solution and actively choosing to stay stuck. The stuckness that you're experiencing is no longer something that is happening to you. It is a choice that you are making. And so you have a choice to make right now after consuming the theory in this video. Path one is to continue to be this chronic diagnostician. You can continue on this path of getting your PhD and becoming the world's leading expert in problems. Keep gathering information, keep analyzing, maybe even make some content where you tell other people what the problem is while your life is just a miserable wreck. And just watch your life remain the same, year after year after year. 4 years from now, still struggling with the exact same problems that you struggled with today, which are the exact same problems that you struggled with 4 years ago. Or path two is that you can step into living in the solution and actually taking action. You can become a clumsy, imperfect, but an active builder of the life and the change that you want. You can accept that you know enough, or that you can even take action with imperfect knowledge of how to move forward. Because it turns out that if you devote your energy entirely to action, implementation, and construction, the best teacher is life. You are going to learn what you need to know, not through more theory consumed online, but through actually taking the actions that constitute progress towards the solution. So the next time you're about to consume more information, ask yourself this brutally honest question. Is this helping me to just diagnose the problem? Have I taken any action on the previous information that I've consumed? Or is this a direct step towards helping me to build a solution? If you're ready to stop being an expert on your own brokenness and actually start building a life of freedom, connection, and purpose, a life that you can actually feel proud of, in which you respect yourself, then check the link in the description below. Let's talk about breaking you free from porn, healing your trauma, improving your dating life, and connecting you with a sense of meaning and purpose to get you to that place. Stop analyzing the fire. It's time to put it out. I hope you guys got some value from this video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.